Hello, everybody. This is Matthew Jacobs, President of Media Relations with Ohio Weather Specialist, joined as always by Jeremy Fabin, CEO and founder of Ohio Weather Specialist.
Hi, everybody. Once again, I'm Jeremy Fabin, CEO and founder of Ohio Weather Specialist. And we're coming to you today to go over a little bit of what actually causes and the formation of a supercell storm.
That's right, Jeremy. And that is the diagram you see on the screen here. That is your classic supercell thunderstorm. We not only will be dissecting all the parts of the supercell thunderstorm, we will be explaining all the things that are needed, the ingredients, so to speak, on how supercell thunderstorms form.
Correct. Yes, we are. There are a lot of ingredients that actually have to fit in just perfect for a supercell storm to form itself. For example, Matt, if I'm correct, one of the main things about the storm itself is going to be it's got to have a lot of warm air that's going to be traveling up the center of it, which is actually going to push down. Am I correct?
Yeah. So here you see this is known as the inflow notch. So your warm air will come in up here, push up, and that will cause the cold air, as you can see, 60,000 feet aloft. You know from experience, if you've ever flown or listened to anybody that has ever went up that high, will tell you it is a lot colder the higher up you go. Hence why mountains in California have snow. So this warm air pushes all the cool air down. And a lot of times that's where your lightning comes from, because it's positively and negatively charged ions in the clouds, which comes from warm and cold air mixing up here at this level. It will cause the lightning, and it will also help push hail down because your hail and your heavier colder rain sits up here, and when a cold or warm burst of air hits the overshooting top, it forces all that cool air and the heavy hail down out of the clouds.
Now, one thing Matt and I were just talking about just a couple minutes ago, which really it's one of my favorite things to look at when it comes to these supercell storms, are, of course, he was sitting there talking about the top of it. I call it the cap, which is the nimbus cloud. Am I correct on that one? Is it the nimbus?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct. So when it starts out, it is a cumulonimbus cloud. And when the unstable air, a cumulonimbus cloud hits the unstable air and it starts to form your classic supercell structure, it will become a nimbus cloud at that point. And that is when you know that a thunderstorm, maybe not a severe thunderstorm, but a thunderstorm will form when you see that changing from a nice cumulonimbus cloud into a nimbus cloud.
Very true. Very true. One thing people got to remember too is going to be about the forward flank downdraft, and of course the gust front of the storm itself.
Yep, that's correct, Jeremy. So with your gust front, a lot of times that is and you can see it on radar. Give me 1 second. I will pull up an image. I actually had one up and accidentally closed it out. Give me 1 second. A lot of times gust front, here you go. Let me pull this over here really quick. Can you see that on the screen, Jeremy?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of times you see this line right here out ahead of the actual thunderstorm. This is your gust front. And sometimes in these straight line wind events like here, your bow echo, this gust front will actually be the most damaging part of the storm. So while a lot of people always associate, damaging winds and destructive winds with this part, when you see the reds and, the darker colors in a bow echo event, or a lot of times in a non-tornadic thunderstorm event, this line right here, your gust front will actually do the most destructive damage during a thunderstorm event.
That's very, very true. We see that quite often in Ohio, believe it or not. The straight line winds and the gust front that comes right in front of the storm. Generally, it has the high wind gusts of 20 mile an hour plus. And like you said, it does do the most damage, but it's generally right in front of a storm itself.
That's correct, Jeremy. And let's back up for a second here, and let's kind of tell everybody what exactly does it take to make all of this happen. So on a severe weather day, the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, which is located in Norman, Oklahoma. It actually is located, if you have ever paid attention, they are across the street from the National Weather Service headquarters in Norman, Oklahoma. They work hand in hand, but they are two separate entities, and they are literally across the street from the National Weather Service headquarters in Norman, Oklahoma. So the job of the Storm Prediction Center is not only to kind of survey the potential for potential storms. They also look at, I believe at one point in time, I've heard it's like 670 different ingredients to determine what the chances are of severe weather are for any given day. So the main things that they will look at is your wind shear, which wind shear is basically wind gradient. And if you've never heard of that definition, it is basically a difference in wind speed or direction over a relatively short distance in the atmosphere. Atmospheric wind shear is normally described as either vertical or horizontal wind shear. So going back to what we talked about, that's your vertical wind shear on your inflow coming into the storm and going up into the overshooting top here, or the cap. Your vertical wind shear is this line right here. So if you think about it, if you have something going straight up and then something being pushed like that, that causes your rotation. So getting back to with wind shear, they also look at your dew point, your humidity, your temperatures. Dew point is big on feeding any kind of supercell thunderstorm, any kind of warm, moist air. It will sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze. I apologize. Anyway, that will feed all of this, and that is a big ingredient for your severe thunderstorm, tornado type of days. That's why you see a lot of times when you see like a high risk or a PDS situation, it's always on those warm, muggy, just uncomfortable type of days.
I was going to say, when storm spotters are out and about, that's one thing they always pay attention to is the barometric pressure. They want to make sure that it's at the right levels before they go after a storm, because if they're not right, it's not going to be a very strong storm.
Yeah, and to follow that up too, you're in trouble with the storm when you see the barometric pressure drop. The closer a storm gets to you, that will tell you that something is very, very wrong within that storm.
Right. Yes, you are very, very true on that one as well.
So, just going back to the 42711 outbreak, we'll just use that as a perfect example because it is exactly what we were talking about. And something that set up was the warm, humid air that day. But, and that's what fed tornado after tornado after tornado that day.
Yep.
The one unusual thing about that outbreak, though, and I think it doesn't get talked about enough, around 3 or 4 o'clock that morning, they had a straight line wind event come through, as well as a couple tornadoes that morning, which usually, when you have a storm system move through like that, it usually takes out all of the energy in the atmosphere. But with that just dumping more moisture in the air, it fueled the afternoon and evening storms and led to the historic outbreak on that day. But that is a perfect example. If you listen to anybody talk about that outbreak, just listening to them talk about the warm, muggy, humid air that day, they always say when you feel that and you know that there's a chance for severe weather, you know that trouble's a brewing.
Yes, you are so true on that. Yeah, usually it's in the nice warm days, but once that mugginess hits in, you better watch it.
Um, and as you can see, so getting back to our diagram here, you can see our storm motion. So this example of a mesocyclone is actually tracking in this direction. So without knowing, I'd venture to say northeast, but without knowing what way this is facing, I can't say that for certain. But that is how this is your inflow. And then obviously you can read rear flank downdraft. And as Jeremy found out last year, being in the field, your rear flank downdraft actually sometimes can be more dangerous or more deadly than your actual tornado here.
Yeah, I actually I did. I made it boo boo and got caught in what they call the bear cage, which is the rear flank downdraft, and it it was the scariest thing I've ever been through, and I was pelted with quarter size hail for a good, I'd say, 3 to 4 minutes, which seemed like hours, but yeah, definitely scary because when the hail started, I knew I was in trouble, but there was nothing I could do but just pull over and pray.
So, to kind of break this down a little further and I will try to be as general as possible and not get too scientific. So what happens when we talked about your cumulonimbus turning into a nimbus cloud before a supercell thunderstorm forms? So you see here the anvil is also known as a shelf cloud, and it literally does look like a shelf. It's just one big shelf across the sky, and that is how the first part of excuse me, the first part of a supercell forming. And then we come down to 30,000 feet and your mesocyclone. So what a mesocyclone is, it is your funnel cloud, so to speak, or it is the parent cloud of the funnel cloud, I should say. So your mesocyclone is where the tornado is born out of. And sometimes, and you saw it in the El Reno tornado, you've seen it in Joplin. If you look really close, you would think that this whole entire structure here is on the ground because of how massive the mesocyclones can actually be. But truth be told, it's only the funnel down here that touches the ground. But this is where the rotation forms. As you can see by this diagram, you see how it's swirling down. And once again, going back to your warm air meets your cold air, pushes everything downward. Your upper level wind shear pushes everything like like that, which is how your rotation forms within the warm and cool air. It's kind of warm and cool air mixing together there, one pushing horizontally, one pushing vertically. Everything pushes down here, and eventually, if all the conditions are right, that is how you get your tornado.
Very true. One thing everybody needs to remember as well as is that just because you see a supercell storm does not mean that it's guaranteed to have a tornado form. We're just showing you the scenario of how a tornado is formed and the supercell tornadoes that are supercell tornadoes. Whew, the supercell storms that actually make the tornadoes themselves. So not every one of the supercells are going to produce tornadoes. Just so everybody understands that part.
And I'm glad you brought that up because it made me think to go ahead and look. Scientists say that by their estimation, now obviously it's not that this whole thing is not an exact science, but they say only about 20% or one of every 5 tornado or thunderstorm will produce a tornado.
Nice. That is really nice. Now I got a question for you, Matt. Over there on the anvil side or the shelf cloud side, that rain that's coming down, would that be considered the rain curtain that people look at?
Yep, that's exactly what that is. That is where, and it also depends on the supercell because you have what's known as high precipitation and some storms are low precipitation. By looking at this diagram, I would say this is definitely a high precipitation supercell thunderstorm here, Jeremy. And but yes, this dark gray shading here is you're exactly right. That is your rain curtain right there. And that is always what's out front of the tornado.
That I just wanted to make sure and let everybody know that way when they're looking outside at the storms net, and a lot of times they'll look and they'll see, they can see where the rain's pouring down and they can see the storm behind it. Um, that way they know now that, well, that's the rain curtain and it's generally underneath the shelf cloud. So now they better understand the storm setup itself.
That's right, Jeremy. And I just want to reiterate not every supercell thunderstorm will be high precipitation, but a high precipitation or an HP supercell thunderstorm that produces a tornado are the most deadly just for the fact of if it is high enough precipitation, that tornado will be completely hidden behind the rain curtain. And sometimes with the inflow, it can actually wrap rain back around the tornado and it might be actually invisible until it's almost too late for you to get to safety. And that's why they always stress to get to safety as soon as there is a warning, or even if the next county over has a warning and that thing looks like it is tracking in your direction, go ahead and get to your safe spot immediately just to be safe.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, I've seen a couple of rain rot tornadoes in my lifetime, and you don't see them until they're there. Um, because they're right up there with the rain curtain. They're mixed in with them, and you really can't tell it until they're right on top of you. So yeah, when you get the warnings, guys, the warnings is there for just that, warnings and safety. Um, don't shy off of them or anything like that. Please take them seriously. This is the season's here for storms. So please be aware.
That's correct, Jeremy. And just one thing I wanted to mention, um, since you brought up, this being severe weather season and it's vastly approaching.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
we are always looking to improve ourselves in our studies. And one thing I always think is interesting, and now mind you, this is not a supercell thunderstorm, this is not a thunderstorm at all, but one thing I wanted to bring up, and I'll find another picture here in a minute to further show you what I'm talking about. But do you see the reds and the greens on the radar here?
Yeah.
So what the reds and the greens are, that is winds moving away from the radar and winds moving toward the radar. And this goes back to this here. So like we'll say the radar site is back to the east, like toward the storm motion, the way the tornado is going, right?
Right.
These winds would be moving away from the radar. These winds are moving toward the radar, right? Your mid-level and your upper level. And so that right there is another case of proving how winds are the ultimate driving factor of your rotation, your helicity, and what ultimately causes your tornadoes.
Matt, we have nothing on the screen at this time.
How about now?
No. Hey, wait. There we are.
All right.
We're good now. Okay. Where were we?
Maybe do you want to run down some of the organizations that Ohio Weather Specialists are a part of? And do you maybe want to explain the importance of each one that we belong to?
Oh, wow. There's quite a few of them. Yes. Of course, high weather specialists. We are Skywarn certified and trained. Matt and I are not just basic certified, we're also advanced certified as well. Matt and I actually we like doing the training seminars as much as possible. Of course, they only ask you to do it once every, I think, 2 or 3 years. But we like doing it every second we can because there's always a chance you'll learn something new. Excuse me. We are also a weather ready nation. Are you pulling stuff up?
Yeah. Yep. I'm just when you're done. I was just getting something ready.
Okay. Well, we're also a weather ready nation member as well. And to become a weather ready nation is very respectful and is actually really hard to become. Matt, do you know what all is entailed with the Weather Ready Nation?
The ambassador program, I believe that you have to, if I remember correctly, because it's been a little over a year now since we've been recognized as a Weather Ready Nation ambassador team. You have to display a good knowledge of weather radar, weather readiness, weather preparedness. You've also have to at least have a certain number of members of your team be Skywarn trained, or I think in at least one or two advanced trained. And I think the other criteria is you have to, in some form or fashion, you have to have some kind of public awareness as well. So, like what we do on YouTube, what we do on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the public awareness during for warnings and watches. I think you also have to be committed to doing that as well.
Right. Yeah, I know it is. Like I said, it's not something that just anybody can get. It is really hard to get, and you have to do a lot of work to continue to be a ambassador with the Weather Ready Nation. But like Matt said, we have been Weather Ready Nation for a little over a year now, which is really good. I'm trying to think of what else we are with the American Weather.
Meteorological Society, AMS.
That, that's it, the American Meteorological Society, AMS. We are also members of AMS, the American Meteorological Society, which once again, that's for people that are I should say legit weather people, weather enthusiasts, and meteorologists themselves. What's really good about that is you get free training all the time by professionals, by professors, and all of that. Really, once again, really hard to get into, but hey, we've showed the initiative. Our team always shows more than is asked of them, and couldn't be more prouder.
Um, Another thing that we have chosen to participate in this year, we belong to the co-op program, or Coco Ross, which is really, believe it or not, it sounds like a really hard thing to be a part of. If you have a rain gauge, like something as simple as a little plastic tube with the inches marked, if you have an external thermometer, or yeah, um, if you have any way of measuring snow, you can be a part of the Coco Ross program. But the importance of it, and the reason why having as many people involved as possible, is what the Coco Ross program does is they send all of your daily readings to National Weather Service, who shares it with the SPC. So let's say in Washington Courthouse, over where Jeremy's at, they've had 4 days of rain, and it's equaled 2 inches of rain. Well, now we have to think about flooding being a threat, but also let's say tomorrow it's going to heat up and it's going to be like 89 degrees. So in the past 3 days, it's been in the 70s, 80s. So one thing that National Weather Service now knows in Washington Courthouse, it has been 70 plus degrees with a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So now they're going to take a closer look at Washington Courthouse as opposed to Van Wert, where it hasn't rained in 6 days, for potential severe weather. And that's all coming from you at your house. And it's very simple equipment, very simple, easy things to obtain. But at my house in Van Wert County, we actually have a weather station that we have set up that automatically sends readings to Weather Underground. So, and that updates, I believe it's every 7 minutes. So if you're ever interested to see what is going on in my neck of the woods, or if you live around here, get on Weather Underground and find West 2nd Street in Van Wert County, or in the city of Van Wert, and you can see exactly what weather I'm having in my backyard.
Now, Matt, I'm glad you said that because that reminded me of something else that we have to do this year, and I bet it's probably slipped your mind, but it has not slipped mine. Ohio weather specialist has been invited to the Make a Wish Foundation's car show this year to actually bring our storm chasing vehicles. So that way we can make some wishes come true as well.
Yep, that's correct, Jeremy. I did not forget. I hope that not only do our vehicles with the lights, and we get out there and we can stop people from driving into storms, but it's good to know that there are young kids that are fighting for their lives. I mean, let's be real. If you're in a Make-A-Wish program, there's no guarantee you'll see tomorrow that we can put a smile on their face for a couple hours. And that's one thing I'll say about Ohio Weather Specialists. We're not just a team to be a team. We are community driven. We are about our communities, not just the ones we live in, but all 88 counties and every city that sits in all 88 counties in the state of Ohio. We are 100% committed to making sure we are doing what's best for each and every one of you. And that is our sole mission.
Very true. Very true. The one of the main reasons that I started this team itself was because of love of the community and love for Ohio. And that's one thing we've always stuck with is we take care of Ohio, take care of the communities, and take care of the people. And, the rest just falls into play.
That's very true, Jeremy. And I guess we'll transition now that we've just kind of explained, all the different organizations we belong to, and not why it makes us look good, but just the importance of the programs themselves. I will go back to, we were talking about, the base velocity on a storm. That's funny. The hook brings you back. If you are our age, you will get the humor in that, because if you ever listen to Blues Traveler, that song is awesome.
Oh my gosh, that is a good song.
So, as you can see here now, I'll kind of explain a little bit about what is going on here compared to our model of the supercell. As you can see, we have a blue line out in front of the storm, almost touching Mobile, maybe the southwest side of Mobile. That would be your gust front. Mm-hmm. Usually your tornado, this is called a hook echo. And usually your tornado, some people refer to it as a comma. It usually sits right here on the end of this tail, or this comma, the end of this comma. This is usually where you'll have your tornado. As you can see right here is your inflow. Here is your horizontal winds. Your rear flank downdraft would be here, which means all this is shooting up from 40, 50, 60,000 feet. It all pushes down. And that's just another view of how we see a supercell thunderstorm on a radar. and just to give you a different view of it so you can better understand how not only us, but meteorologists in the National Weather Service also see thunderstorms.
Right. Yeah. One thing people, like I always tell people, when you're watching radar on TV or on your computer or phones or tablets, electronic devices, always remember that just because you see a different color than green does not mean to panic and worry. If there's a need to worry, trust me, you will get notifications some way or another. Normally, if it's red or any darker, that's when you get worried. But yellows, I wouldn't be too concerned about them. And I'm just saying this because I know a lot of people that like watching the Weather Channel and that, and they'll watch and say, "Oh, here comes a storm, and there's green, but it's got yellow, so it's going to be a bad storm." Don't psych yourself up for that, because that's not necessarily going to be the situation.
Yeah, very true, Jeremy. And you know, what I was showing on my radar that I pulled up, the reds and the greens, when they're very tight like this,
Yep,
the bright reds and the bright greens are touching each other.
that's a tornado.
So let me go ahead and grab a pencil really quick right here is where a tornado, well, obviously it pointed it out, but I just wanted to show the specific area where it was pointing. You see the blue right there, that is where your tornado is. And once again, this is winds. You can kind of see going this way, and these winds are coming in this way, which causes your rotation. Because imagine two, I can't even think of an example, but when they hit, like even my hands, if you see how they, it acts on upon itself, and that's how rotation is formed. And once it gets nice and tight like that, that is where your tornado will lie.
Yes, very, very true. And to be totally honest, a lot of storm spotters and radar techs, that's the one of the main things they look for anymore is that. Where'd you go? Or you're moving on me again?
Oh, here, want me to go back? Here you go. I'm sorry.
I was going to say most radar techs that anymore in the storm chasing um society, they look for that right there. For the right there. That's what they look for when they're looking for tornadoes. Because a lot of time the hook echo is not always there. But that will be if there is a tornado.
And something else to keep in mind too, even right here, this is not a tornado, but anytime you have this, the reds and greens together like that, so Raleigh is out of the danger for a tornado, but I can guarantee you that's probably 45, 50 mile an hour winds right there hitting the city. So
I remember this. I remember this tornado. You and I were watching this. This Mount Olive. Yeah, you and I watched this tornado, believe it or not. I remember this from now.
Yep. Yeah. I had to stop and look at it for a minute, but yeah, I guess we were.
We were, because Raleigh, they thought, actually had an EF0 because of the damage. And it ended up, they just said it was just heavy winds.
So just to give you a little, not to get too technical with it, but just to give you a little bit better understanding of what goes on radar and how meteorologists, National Weather Service can detect tornadoes on radar, and then to tie it back into this, all of that you see on the radar is
Right
that.
there.
That is your this. Sorry, let me do that really quick. So this would be your winds pushing into the storm, pushing outward away, your inflow and your outflow, which causes your rotation or, and I'm glad you brought that up, Jeremy. And I didn't mean to overlook it when you first brought it up, but very, very good point on the fact that not every storm is going to look like this. This is just a classic hook echo. There are some tornadoes. Oh, I had it up before. Did I get rid of it? I might have got rid of it.
Yeah,
Where
I was going to say, there's a lot that don't even have the hook. You just happen to see the brightness, and you're like, oh, there's a tornado, or you see the debris signature.
So, like here, yes, technically there is a hook, but it's not a, it's not quite like this. So, a lot of times, in a classic supercell, they call it the eagle look. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Jeremy, but it almost looks like a bird. When on radar, when a supercell starts to ramp up and form. Do you know what I'm referring to, Jeremy?
No, I don't, but I'm going to look it up.
Here, I will pull it up for you right now.
I'm going to say that's something I will look up because I've never heard of it, and I like it.
There you go. I'll pull this over really quick. They call it, because you see like the wings and the tail.
Okay, I see it.
They call it like the bird signature, or here's another one. Here's the better one. You see the wings and then your tail.
I see it now. Okay.
Yeah, they call that the eagle or the bird, and that's another sign of a classic supercell. You don't always have to have that well-defined hook, but if you start seeing this shape take form right here, that's a very classic sign of a supercell thunderstorm right there. Here's another good view of it. See?
Oh wow, yeah.
So, yeah, I just thought that was another cool thing to show people. But yeah, going back to our main thing here. And then the one thing we haven't touched on is probably the most important thing of the whole diagram. After all the stuff that we've talked about has happened, you have your instability, your cape levels are high, you get your cap, you have your inflow, your vertical wind shears, your horizontal wind shears at both levels, your mid and upper. Then 1 out of every 5 thunderstorms that happen produce your tornado.
Yes. And of course, that's the part that most people fear, and a lot of us love. It's going to be the tornado itself.
And I know a lot of people, and rightfully so. I mean, a tornado is a very damaging, destructive force of nature. But look at it this way: you're twice as likely to die of a flood than you are a tornado.
Mm-hmm.
The flooding is actually the number one killer of all weather events every year.
Oh yeah, tornado deaths are very very low. Um, Most people don't realize, but excuse me, like EF zeros, they do the lightest amount of damage. To be totally honest, it would be like straight line winds coming through your area and taking off some shingles and stuff like that. Generally, they're not very powerful. Um, the ones that everybody always pictures, oh no, there's a tornado, it's going to destroy my house and take my car and throw it 6 miles away. Well, those would be the EF3s and above.
Right. Yep. And I'm guessing, it's 20% of all thunderstorms, or 1 out of every 5 thunderstorms produce tornadoes. And out of those, I would say probably less than 10% of all tornadoes that have been formed in the history of keeping record have actually been EF3 or higher.
Yep. Yeah, very true. It is very rare, and I think like EF5s, there have been like maybe I'd say a few handfuls of those. They're very rare, but they are very devastating, to say the least. But yeah, once again, that's another reason why we do what we do. Is because we want to not only help people get the early warnings of tornadoes coming their way, or dangerous weather coming their way, but also to give the scientific data from like our handheld anemometers. And I know most people don't know what an anemometer is. It's actually a little tool you use that actually reads the wind speed. And I
Just
have
a
two of them in
really,
my
really,
booth.
really quick, Jeremy, just to
Yeah.
kind of break it down. Imagine a handheld weather vane. That is
Okay.
is what an anemometer is, and it reads wind speed, just to kind of give you a more basic idea of what it is.
Gotcha. Yeah. I've got two of them in my car. And Matt, I know you have one as well, don't you?
Yep, and I have the cool thing about our weather station. It reads wind speeds at the house, so I have 2 different places where I'm actually reading wind speeds when I'm out in the field.
Which is really good because, yeah, you're not only getting them out the field wherever you're at, but you're also getting them at home as well, which the ones at home are automatically, like you said, I think it's every 7 minutes, sending it to, I think it's underground weather, if I'm correct.
A little bit around weather underground.
Weather underground. Hey, it's late.
Yeah. And to go back in the history of the United States, there have been 59 EF5 tornadoes compared to, most years you have a couple hundred tornadoes on average, and or severe thunderstorm warnings, I should say, not necessarily tornadoes. So 62 since 1950, which is when they started keeping official track of it. So
That's really not bad at all.
let's do some
For
math.
I was going to say, for the history of the U.S., that's not bad at all.
That's right. And I just want to do the math just to. So let's see. That'd be 50. That'd be 71 years, 70 years, because can't count this year. 59. It only equals 1.186 tornado F5 tornadoes a year. So just a little over like 1.2. So basically one tornado, EF5 tornado on average. And even think about 2011
Oh gosh.
had how many EF5 tornadoes
Yeah. So,
alone?
yeah. So look at how many. I mean, there's many years that there are no EF5 tornadoes. Multiple years that happens. But then Mother Nature decides, let's play catch up and throws a outbreak at us.
Right. Um, yeah, oh, and that's why I'm not saying that it's not important to, stay alert and stay aware, but it's also good to have these facts because it can make you learn to appreciate weather and not be scared of it.
Exactly. That's one thing that one reason why I do ride along sometimes with some friends or family members that have a fear of storms. Of course, I don't take them to huge storms, but I will take them, from a distance, so they can see how the storms form and everything of the sort to help them break the cycle and fear of the storms themselves.
Very true, Jeremy. And that is we could just be a weather team who does nothing but report weather. But we decided very early on, we also wanted to be educators as well. We wanted to give back in that sense too, of not just, um, hey, you're gonna have bad weather today, but we also wanted to make sure we were doing the public a service by making sure they understood weather the way we do, because the more you know, the easier things will be for you on the severe weather days.
Oh, so true, so true, and you wouldn't believe how many people actually follow us that used to be terrified of storms, and now they go outside during the storms and take pictures and sit there and send them to me, and it's exciting. Um, I love storms. There's only been one that scared me, and well, that was because of the bear cage. But it's great. Like Matthew said, educating people on how storms form and you know um, how I can't say not. How, what would be the word I'm looking for, Matthew? Um, oh, I'm dead silence all of a sudden. I'm sorry, but to show them how less lethal they are.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, I see what you're saying.
that's it. So they don't have to really be afraid. Just because there's lightning doesn't mean it's going to hit your house. I would advise you to stay inside, but it's not going to it, it's not going to kill you. Um, of course, unless it does hit you. But if you're inside, you have a very slim chance. But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. And just to quickly go back, just to give you an idea of, how the EF5 tornadoes. Um, so yes, in 2011 there were one, two, three, four, five, six EF5 tornadoes. So that was in 1 year. And then the last F5 tornado was the Moore tornado. Um, Now we can sit here and debate the El Reno tornado. Obviously, you all know what I think. If you had mobile Doppler radar, pick wind speeds up of 300 miles an hour, that's an EF5 tornado. Now, I understand that people will debate that that was a satellite tornado, but that's still a tornado on the ground. Um, but that's another video for another day. So officially, the last time we've had an EF5 tornado is 2013, the Newcastle Moore tornado. And if anybody follows weather, you'll know that was a horrible, horrible tornado. But that's been what now, 7 years, going on 8 years since the last time we've had an EF5 tornado. So
Okay,
no,
thanks for the jinx. Thanks for jinxing everybody. Now,
yeah,
Matthew.
hold on. That's table's wood. So
Oh, I'm telling you. Yep, here it comes, everybody. No, go ahead.
oh, I was just saying. So if you think about it, there were 6 in 1 year. So 59. So that's 53. So that's bringing your total number, down if you take 1 year out. So, and it's like we said, we are not telling you not to take weather serious. We are just simply saying that you can admire weather and respect weather and understand the full power of weather and not have to be scared, because the likelihood of you dying from a severe weather event is probably about the same amount of odds as winning the lottery.
That's very true. And one thing that I try to tell people all the time is, if it's not a severe thunderstorm, there's no lightning, there's no hail, nothing like that. Take your shoes off, go outside and dance in the rain, just like we did when we were kids, because it's still the same rain as we had back then, and enjoy it.
That's very true. And one thing I and I know we've talked about it in several videos. If you have any questions, and talk to us, ask us any question, and if we can't answer it for you, we know the websites, we know the people. We can get you in touch with anybody who can answer any weather questions you have if we can. You know, we do a lot of met ed training, like I believe Al talked about last time.
Mhm.
There's FEMA training on what to do during a disaster, after a disaster. Um, I think later this week, Jeremy's been a little under the weather, so when he gets feeling better, he's gonna do a video of what you should have in a car in case you do get caught in severe weather. Um, you
Yeah,
know, or if something were to just happen in general with your vehicle, you break down, you get caught in floodwaters, or you're stranded because of floodwaters, the things you need to pack with you in a car, um, because you never know what, when, or why you may need it. But the truth is, you're gonna need
exactly. I'm sorry, when I was younger, I was a Boy Scout, and the motto is be prepared. Well, I'm always prepared for everything.
it. And going back to Skywarn, um, and I think anybody that's watched Storm Chasers will know, um, you almost become desensitized to it to a point because you see it so often. But I think the man, he's a or he's a storm chaser. His name is it Jeff Pikowski?
Yes, I know who
Yeah,
you talking about. Yes.
he was the one of the very first people that came into Joplin after the tornado hit.
Oh my. Oh yes, I
And
remember the video.
and to watch him break down and sob because the first few houses he came up on were people who were unfortunately had perished, or deceased. Um, so, you have to think, when we are in the Skywarn program, when we dedicate ourselves to this, we aren't just dedicating ourselves to reporting weather. I know there are a lot of us, that when a town is hit, it's no longer a matter of chasing a storm, it becomes search and rescue. And, that is one thing I always try to stress to people that, we are not just in the business of, oh, look at me, I got a tornado on film, or, oh, check out this awesome thunderstorm I went and followed today. We are 100% fully in the business, and I'm speaking on the Skywarn program now, and life saving. Get early warnings out, and then if the unthinkable happens, Dayton, Salina, Joplin, Tuscaloosa, just to name a couple, El Reno, more, um, then our focus shifts immediately, and it becomes 100% about finding out how we can do our part to now search and rescue for people.
See, you are completely correct there. That's one thing a lot of people do not realize about the Skywarn team and high weather specialists as well. Is we're not just storm spotters. We're not just radar techs. We're not just social media directors. We're not just public relations operators. We are so much more. When something does happen, we switch the gears from being a storm spotter to whatever role we are needed at that time. Generally, we do work greatly with our local law enforcement, fire departments, and that. And whenever there is a whether it's a storm, a disaster of some sort, I should say, whether it be a car accident, which I know it has nothing to do with storms, but when the community's in trouble, we switch gears when we have to, and like I said, we take on the role we need, and we do help. We will block roads off to keep people from driving through brush and down power lines and stuff. So yeah, it's not just a, like Matthew said, drive around it. Ooh, look, there's a tornado. Let me get on video. Okay, I'm done. That's not what we do at all.
And just really quick, I brought this up just to drive home a point.
Joplin, Missouri pictures.
So, if we are in the field, right, and we can, Al talked about it in Brookville, but I just brought this up just to show. Look at this damage path here.
Oh my Lord.
How do you expect first responder or EMS, police, fire to be able to get to all that at the same time? Now, I know eventually they call in other departments from nearby cities, but
Still, yeah.
5, 10, 15, 20 minutes can mean the matter of life and death for some people, so I just wanted to give you a visual look at why it is important that not only, we be trained in radar, we're trained in how to see a storm, how to call it in, and all that. But I know there are myself and other members of this team have also committed to first aid, CPR, and training for this very reason. I had to do it for my job, so it was just an added perk for me to be able to say, well, if there's a storm or a tornado that hits and they need people for search and rescue, or if I am the first person on the scene or one of the first people on the scene, I'm certified to get in there and maybe do some first aid, or, heaven forbid, CPR, you know, train, and I'm trained to do that. And this is the reason why right here. I mean, we can't expect, our fire, EMS, and police to be able to cover all this at once.
No, not even 4 fire departments or whatever could handle all of that as quickly as it needs to be done. It couldn't happen.
I just wanted to, like I said, just drive home the point that that is once again, that is why we make sure that we, as a Skywarn program, train as much as we can to in every aspect that we can to keep our community safe.
Yes, that I like I always say, that's one of the main reasons why this team was started, was to keep the community safe.
But we just wanted to come on and get a video, and because it's been a couple days, and we thought, what better time, because next week, I don't know if you had seen this, Jeremy, next week is severe weather preparedness week. So,
oh yes,
I think it starts on the 14th. So if today is what? Today is Wednesday.
today's the 12th.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it'll be Sunday. It'll be Sunday.
So it will be getting your safe place, huh?
I think that's one day. Warnings. What you're gonna do the video on, what you should have,
Yes.
in your car. But a lot of that stuff can apply to your basement too, in case you're trapped. It's gonna go over tornadoes, floods. It's gonna be a week. Every day there's gonna be a new theme. So
it's gonna be awesome, guys. It really is.
But yeah, and I want to just put this out here too. And I know it's frustrating, and I know it can be difficult, but no, imagine how hard it's been for your job here lately, working on a skeleton crew. Imagine having to do that with National Weather Service. People that, that two people are having to do, or one person is having to do the job of two people now because of COVID-19 and the effects it's had on National Weather Service. From the way I understand, things are kind of getting back to normal. But if you have ever come in contact with a meteorologist, you happen to know one personally, give them a pat on the back, because they've missed some here since COVID. They've missed a couple things here and there, but for the most part, these people have really strapped their boots up tight and went to work and kept us safe, and they deserve all the credit in the world for everything they do.
I have to agree with you. The National Weather Service has, like you said, they're working with a skeleton crew. Most of their employees are working from home, and to be totally honest, I couldn't be more proud of the work that they're doing and continuing to do with as little people as they have. They are still staying on top of things as best as they can. All the meteorologists out there, hey, great job. We watch you guys, and like Matt says, definitely give them a pat on the back, because they deserve it. They don't get all the credit that they deserve. Everybody tends to give them the bad shoulder because they said it was going to be 60 degrees and it's 58 degrees. They lied. Like, the thing about weather, and I always tell people, is weather is completely unpredictable. It can be one thing one day, and the next day it'll be totally different. So, you know, give them give them a little like I said, pat on the back and give them a little break, guys.
That's right. And I think this is a good place to stop our video. Just to give you an idea of some upcoming things. We're going to continue our series on the people who coordinate during severe weather. Of course, a lot of you have watched our awesome video with Al Dennis, who did a great job. I couldn't ask for any better interview. Um, we got some firemen lined up, and I do believe it might be in the near future, but unfortunately, Rick Evans, he had to cancel due to a family emergency. So definitely sending good thoughts and vibes and prayers his way. Hopefully everything will be good and we can get back in touch with him and get an interview in with him soon. But I also believe what the Fayette County Sheriff.
Yeah. Yes, I've been talking with them and just waiting to hear back.
So, we are definitely going to continue to try to bring not just videos, but the best quality content we can. Once again, we want to make it informative, educational, and fun. Like we hope that you guys enjoy what we do. Um, and not just on YouTube, but follow us on all social media platforms. We are at High Weather Specialist on Instagram and Facebook, and OWS 2019 on Twitter. You can hit us up if you guys have any ideas, thoughts, comments. If you guys know of anybody that would be worth interviewing, or if you guys want to do a Q&A, anything like that, we have a couple emails that you can reach out to us at too. It's ows.mediarelations@gmail.com or Ohio Weather Specialist at gmail.com. And we will get back to you, probably one of us, almost instantaneously. We definitely always love any kind of feedback, thoughts, comments. And like I said, if you guys want to be featured in a video, maybe you have had a storm story, maybe a tornado has hit your town or hit your area, maybe hit your house. You were driving and almost got caught up in the tornado, just any, flooding, any kind of story like that. We would love to interview you. There is no bad story when it comes to weather. If it's something that's impacted you, then it's something that we definitely want everybody else to be able to have you share it with them. Once again, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and think maybe coming this spring, summer, we might throw a Snapchat in there just to give you some teaser videos and pictures of all the storms we're out on. So look forward to that, or something for you to look forward to. And once again, we are going to be continuing our severe weather preparedness videos as well as our interviews with all the people that keep you safe during severe weather. And we have a couple other projects coming up. Jeremy, before we sign off, I think it's safe to go ahead and put this out here since it's in the final stages. We have 5 children. They're my nieces and nephews, as well as Jeremy's 2 children that have taken such an interest in science through the STEM program and weather in particular, that they wanted to form their own team. And they are going to call themselves the Ohio Weather Kids, which is totally awesome to see the younger kids getting interested in not just what we do, but weather in general. And so eventually, over the next maybe month, what we would like to do, if you have a kid that's interested in science and weather, we're going to be having a children's team. And so your children are more than welcome to join the team as well. And that will include doing things like science experiments, getting in the field, and safely doing so, where they're going to be doing a word of the week, where they're going to be not only teaching children, but adults on different types of weather words and definitions and just all kinds of fun stuff that they come up with. It's going to be their thing. We're going to let them just cut loose, and we're just going to kind of be behind the scenes, keeping it ran smooth.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Melissa is excited about this. She's actually the one that's going to be doing this with, well, helping the kids out with this. Yeah, we're actually really, really excited. Their logos, we will be sharing here pretty soon which logo they're going to use and everything of the sort. They're excited, we're excited, and it's really awesome.
That's right. If so, once again, if you have a kid, between like first and eighth grade, and like we said, and they're interested in science, STEM program, weather, this would be something definitely worth putting them in, because we are going to devote a lot of time into making this a serious weather team, but still with kids having fun at the same time.
Oh yeah, it's going to be it's going to be almost like Bill Nye the Science Guy, but a bunch of kids.
Unpopular opinion, I preferred Beekman's World to Bill
Okay.
Nye the Science Guy.
Oh yeah, he was good too.
But yeah, and we have a couple other things we have in the works now as well too. We are going to actually be getting out this summer. We had planned on it last summer, but COVID kind of struck that down. Still
Yeah.
waiting to see a final list of all the fairs, festivals, and community events this summer that we can get into. And we are going to be getting out into the public and kind of distracted. I had a squirrel moment there. You turned the camera, and I don't know why I looked over there thinking I was going to see something, but
I keep forgetting it's in my hand. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. But we're going to be coming to towns near you, and we are in the works now of getting some merchandise made. So grab that free Ohio Weather Specialist swag. I think right now we're working on maybe some cups. Was it frisbees?
We're looking at frisbees and cups at the moment.
And then I think we had talked about maybe some fly swatters. Eventually down the road, hats and t-shirts,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. We are going to be doing giveaways, and over the next few months, since we're just throwing it all out there, we are going to be buying a home weather station, and it is going to be part of a giveaway. We're going to be giving away weather radios, hats, t-shirts. It's all going to be a contest. So we need you guys to start getting more interactive. We need more questions, comments, likes. And once again, just to reiterate, the likes aren't because we need you. We need we need it to feel good about ourselves or anything like that. We want
I was going to say, it's not because we have a sponsor and they're requiring somebody. We have nobody sponsoring us. Everything that we're giving away is out of our own pockets. We're paying for to give away. So just remember that we're not a paid team. We're not paid by a sponsor or anything of the sort. This is all us doing this.
Yep, that's right. And what I was gonna say, the reason we say like, comment, subscribe is so we know we're doing a good job. We know we're doing the best job we can for you guys, and you guys are enjoying what we do. that is the reason we ask for likes, comments, and subscriptions. So I hope you guys understand that is why we ask for that in every video. We just want to make sure the content we're putting out is not only informative, it's entertaining, and you guys like what we do.
Right. Very true.
But we're going to wrap it up here. Once again, my name is Matthew Jacobs, President of Media Relations.
And I'm Jeremy Fabin, CEO and President, or owner of Ohio Weather Specialist. Thank you everybody for watching our video, and have a wonderful evening.